right now, What Josiah Saw. It stars Robert Patrick as the eponymous Josiah. He's the patriarch of a family that's coming back together. They're estranged. Actually, it's gets a little. I won't get too much into it, but there's three siblings. Two of them are estranged. One of them still lives on the farm. They're coming back to the farmhouse, and the kids would like to sell the farmhouse, kind of forget about the past. Josiah has different plans. What Josiah Saw. So maybe I was looking too much into this. So the name of the oil company that wanted to buy the farm was Devlin Oil, and I read it as Devil at first. I was like, the greedy
corporate
capitalists,
devils.
yeah, corporate devils coming in to steal the land from the poor farmer. But so all of us have done our secondary book learning in literature to one degree or another, pun intended. This is very much a Southern Gothic story.
Oh yeah. When was the last time you have experienced some Southern Gothic, Regina?
I'm sorry, what's that?
When was the last time you have experienced some of this Southern Gothic that you remember?
In my life?
Yeah. Well, just in cinema. In cinema.
Cinema, that's interesting. So in cinema, I would have to say it's been a while. I feel like it's not a genre I get to hit that often in cinema. Mm-hmm. So I would say, like, just most recently, there was a movie, book turn movie where the crawdads sing. That's on Hulu, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's such a cute movie," but it's a Southern Gothic story too. It's kind of messed up. About a girl living in the swamps on her own. I mean, it hits everything there too. But I guess, like, most recently, it was nice to see what Josiah Saw, just because it's been a while.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a very underserved genre, which is funny because I think, like, Mark Twain kind of worked in it, didn't he?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the greater American authors worked in it. I would say that Dark and the Wicked is pretty close to Southern Gothic. It doesn't quite hit it. And that's actually the reason I thought that you should watch this, Blake, because I know you really liked Dark and the Wicked, and I thought this was kind of in the same wheelhouse because the premise is pretty close. There's some differences, but it's I'm not the biggest Southern Gothic fan. Like, it's not that I dislike it. I just don't go out looking for it. But this, like, kind of touches on all the things, like mental illness and the past coming back to haunt you, and they're poor and they're fighting against the big corporations. Like, it touches on, and then the atmosphere, everything. It's like they had a checklist, and the atmosphere,
all the taboo behavior.
The taboo behavior, yeah, all that gross behavior is there. Like, just, it's a very, we've described movies as grimy and dirty. Like, this is, it's not so much that it's that, but it feels very downtrodden the entire time. But it's I don't think I've seen a movie like this in quite a while.
No. No, I haven't. It was completely different than what I thought it was going to be when I started it. It kind of sets it up with this, like, eerie. Well, it ultimately is kind of, but, like, I thought it was gonna be like this ghost story, like that kind of shit, and it's really not at all. Even though it's got a lot of those themes, it's much more about, like, this, like you said, mental illness and this fucked up family dynamic, and it paints this type of these type of people pretty severely, and everybody involved in this movie, including the corporate oilmen. Nobody comes across as anybody you'd really want to be around. Not one person.
No, not at all. And this it kind of plays out like a book. Like, it's done in chapters, but a lot of movies do that. But just watching it, it's almost like reading a book. It's the way the characters are developed. I don't think you see, at least to me, you don't see this kind of character development in movies very often. Like, they were very much like characters out of a book, and I very much appreciated that. It was very cool to watch. And then chapter 1, like you said, I think it's literally like the ghost of Willow Road or something like that.
Yeah. Oh. No, it reminded me of kind of like a Cormac McCarthy vibe. It's kind of like a little bit more supernatural Cormac McCarthy stuff.
I can see that. It definitely has it's a very bleak feeling. I guess also, like, sort of like the isolated they're very isolated where they live too. I mean, they're out there,
Mhm.
like everyone says, "Oh
Right.
yeah, don't go by that farm. It's a weird farm," sort of thing. But I would say it's just so desolate, and I think that also contributes to that Cormac McCarthy feel,
Mhm.
sort of like gritty and just lonely.
And
Yeah.
then we just got off of talking about a movie with a huge plot twist. So, chapter one is the Ghost of Willow Road, and then chapter two is about one of the brothers, Eli, and his encounter with some gypsies, and it almost becomes a completely different movie.
Oh.
And also, it's by far the longest chapter. This is an example of how you can change tones and not affect the enjoyment of the movie.
Oh, totally, right? Like what a perfect example of that. It really kind of turns into like the green room kind of a feel of like, or like an episode of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's like
Kind
a
of,
heist movie.
yeah, it had all that stuff to it, and like grimy characters that you're just like, ew,
Yeah.
I was talking about, is his name Steven Weber? I just said it. No, I can't remember it.
Mm.
He Jake Weber. He plays like this like strip club owner who sends Nick Stahl's character on like an errand. And the whole time it's just like this, it's just those feelings of Breaking Bad where it's like, ooh, you don't want it, you want him out of the room, for his own sake,
Yeah.
the whole time. And yeah, great way to build tension in a completely different way than it had just done. Yeah, really interesting.
And then that's when they and the cool thing is each chapter it goes over one of the kids, a member of the family, basically, because the first chapter is really about Eli or Josiah and Tommy, one of the sons.
Mhm.
And the second chapter is on Eli. The third chapter is about their sister May, is it?
I think May is her name.
Mary. Yeah, Mary May I. Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
The second chapter, it really opens up Eli's story. It takes a while. It's a long section, but you never are out of it because characters like Boone, you have to deal with gypsies and there's cursed gold, so it has that supernatural feel to it. But if you weren't watching it from the beginning, you would think it was a different movie. It's just
Mhm.
so seamlessly integrated into it, and it's kind of a shock to the system, but it works so well. And they don't lose any of the mood, and I think that's the difference between this and Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes.
The mood is so well preserved. You get the creepy feeling like something bad's going to happen from the very beginning, right? You got that underlying tension from the very start of the film, and then it shifts where we have like you said, it's kind of like a heist, crime movie all of a sudden, and you're dealing with these very scummy characters, which helps keep that same tension. But it almost becomes kind of a fun movie too because there's payoffs to the tension right away. So I don't know. I really enjoyed Eli's story, and I really enjoyed the movie as a whole, and its a framing device I thought was really cool, especially for developing characters like these.
Yeah, and then spoiler warning, we're not going to ruin any major plot points. We're going to talk about some things in the movie. One of my favorite scenes in this movie, and it wasn't very long, but it's night, Eli's running to a car and he's being chased by a group of gypsies. Just it's only like a second or two that they get the full on of it, but that was maybe my favorite shot in the whole movie. Loved it.
That was there was lots of great camera work, and that was definitely one of the highlights for sure. Ooh, God, imagine if they'd caught him.
That's what I was thinking, and that's what a movie is supposed to do. Like, it puts you in that where you're like, oh shit, what are they gonna do? Because he's already been through some shit at this point. The
Yeah.
gypsies have already kind of messed with him. So, and it's kind of funny too. We're talking about Southern Gothic, ghosts, and mental illness, and all. Now we're talking about gypsies and gold. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, are you talking about the same movie? But if you watch this movie, you see how it all comes together.
Such a good point. Yeah.
And leading to the third chapter, which is arguably the most depressing. So this movie's about this movie. I think one of the themes is, and we kind of touched, it's generational trauma is what's going on. And this movie, it really hammers that point home. And after I was a little bit worried because Eli and the Gypsies, that chapter was so awesome that I thought the next chapter would be a letdown, and it was a downer in many ways. But storytelling wise, it just kept on flowing. Like I had to know what was going on. I thought again, this didn't have one plot twist in it. It did it two times, and each time it worked really well.
And
Yeah.
again, we have another shift in tone and scenery too. We move from the country to like the desert, and now we're like in yuppie suburbia with like a completely different set of people.
Yeah, and different types of people. Like we went from, the overbearing father and his son who seems to be mentally ill, to Eli, who's he's had his problems with the law and he's trying to steal gold from gypsies. Now we're going to suburbia with Mary and Tony Hale. What an awesome performance as this yuppie husband who they're just trying to live in the burbs.
Yeah, he's great. He's always good.
It's such a good change of pace each time, but then they tie it all together. And I think the question for this movie is it too depressing?
I might argue that it is.
I mean, you have the Southern Gothic. There's no way out of the depressing. I mean,
yeah, you're right. And I think to have kind of like this downtrodden ending is even like you have to have one for it to truly be Southern Gothic. Can't have like a happy ending. It has to be depressing and horrible to some degree. Yeah. This ending is just extra horrible and depressing and disgusting.
Very, very bleak ending. It's so bleak that I don't even think William Faulkner would appreciate this kind of Southern Gothic.
No, this ending did not need a plastic saddle, Patrick.
No saddles needed for this.
No saddles needed.
This ending, so it's actually, and they take a couple of risks here, not just with the topic, but because they do a couple of twists in a short amount of time, and that can be really frustrating for the viewer. The first twist, I thought they kind of lead up to it, like you can kind of see where it's going. I didn't see it like way before, but I'd say about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes tops before they reveal what's going on. You can kind of see it. But that last twist, I was shocked. I was a little bit disgusted. I was angry, but not angry at the movie. I was like, I can't fucking believe that they've been doing this. I can't believe they're going that route.
It kind of made me angry at the movie.
I was like, there's a place for these kinds of movies, and by these kinds of movies, I mean like not every movie has to have the happy ending, or the hero doesn't have to really ride off into the sunset. And sometimes the bad guy wins, but this isn't even about anybody winning, because in this movie there are no winners at all. The family, like at the end, I just felt really, really, really depressed, and I don't like that movie coming out of movies. Like maybe you'll see a sad movie and you're like, wow, let's talk about it, but I don't want it like a Requiem for a Dream type feeling after I get out of a movie.
No.
The movie did so well with developing characters, and they're like, for example, we have like Eli's character who's trying to steal gypsy gold. That kind of tells you what kind of character he is. Maybe not the most moral character, but I would say he's a likable character. And
I thought he was.
Yeah, definitely. And this movie has you caring about some characters, really sympathizing for them, and and like wondering what's up with them, and kind of caring about them. And then you get this crazy twist at the end where you're like, well, I don't care about anything anymore.
Well, you know what? I felt a little bit different. So I like the Graham kids. Like I liked them all. I thought they all had gone through rough lives.
Yeah.
But I understood where they were coming from, and I felt sorry for them, so I can get behind what they were doing. The only person I didn't like, and I don't mean that they were poorly written, they were intentionally bad, was Josiah. Like he was a bad dude, and I didn't like him, and I understood that it was because of him that the kids were how they were. So when you get that final twist, and at first I was like, I was, just not too pleased with it. But and I think this goes to the writing of the movie. I was actually trying to justify why they did that, or why people act the ways that they do. I felt sorry for them. I really
You're
did.
betrayed.
Yeah, like it's kind of one of those things where like it's not really on them, that's depressing, and then I was angry at myself. like what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you've been in College Station too long, bro.
Maybe I might have been in the wrong.
You're red assed.
It's happened. But aside from the ending, which will have people feeling conflicting things, I think that the characters are very well developed, and I liked how, I don't think these could have been done as individual movies. Like, I think the way this was collected together, and it's long, it's 2 hours, but I think collecting it together like this was a very smart decision.
Yeah, I think the length is one of my bigger complaints about it, but yeah, you couldn't really do it any other way without the, to have the impact that it does. And it is really long, but it ultimately flowed pretty well. I didn't necessarily thought it dragged. It just after it was all over, I was like, wow, 2 hours for that crescendo.
For that's kind of a good way to describe it. So we talked about Hunter x Hunter, and one of the things about Hunter x Hunter when it came out was people were just like torn by the ending, and there was a lot of people who were like, you know what, this movie is shitty. There's just a good ending, and we've talked about movies like that where they have this like badass ending and then they don't know how to get to it, so there's a shitty movie to it. Would you put this in that category, or do you think this was kind of a natural culminationary thing? Because as ugly as that ending was, I think it's maybe the way that it had to go.
I think you're right. I feel like there was already so much also that was implied earlier, where things seemed like they were going to go in an extra messed up direction, and then it kind of pulled back a little bit, where at the end you're just glad it didn't it just didn't go that far. So and it goes pretty far. So, but I don't think there could have been a happy ending or something less than what it was without compromising what had led up to it.
Oh, I mean, that was a really great question. I think for my tastes, that I wish they hadn't have done that. I also, but the story that they told, is it any worse? No, it's worse, probably, I guess. But so ultimately, like, no, I can't fault the movie for doing what it does too much. Again, it's just one of those things that anytime a movie does that, it just strikes a chord with me where I go kind of like, fuck, like, fuck you, movie.
I felt betrayed by the movie. That's my thing. My main feeling about it. I felt betrayed at the end there. I'm like, you played me.
Yep.
So what Josiah Saw, it's on Twitter right now. Blake, you sound very torn on this movie, so I'm gonna start with you. See or no see?
Gosh, I am super torn about this movie. It was a good movie. It was a long movie. The ending really fucking pissed me off a lot, I guess, but I don't know what I should have expected. So yeah, fucking watch it. Yeah, watch it.
Oh no, you went it's my fault. Don't do that. That's that's an underlying message to this. It's not your fault.
It's my fault, man. It's my fault.
So, Regina, what Josiah Saw, I know you also have some strong feelings about the ending. See or no see?
I would see it, and I guess again, like the other one, if you're a fan of the Southern Gothic, yeah, definitely check this out. If you're a fan of Robert Patrick and Nick Stahl, check it out. If you're a fan of Elmore Leonard writing, check it out. If you clutch your pearls at stuff, don't check it out. You're going to clutch them till your head pops off, so don't do it.
So, what Josiah Saw, I would say check it out. Like, I think it's an excellent movie. The ending it's awful, and I don't mean like it's poorly done. It'll shock the hell out of you.
It'll mess you up.
It will mess you up, but I think you absolutely should check out this movie. So